How well do we really know the people around us? We see them every day, at work, in passing on the street, behind the counters of our favorite shops. But how much of their lives do we actually truly understand? What happens behind closed doors, in the quiet of an empty house, when no one is watching? Melody Davis seems like just another friendly face in Woodbrook, running the town's butcher shop with quiet precision. But beneath that polite demeanor and her measured routine, she's hiding something. Something unsettling, something deeply personal, and something that raises more questions than answers. Why does she seem so weighed down by grief? Why does she walk the same path every day, with that faraway look in her eyes? And most importantly, who is she talking to when no one else is around? In Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, we get a chilling look at Melody's private world, her carefully constructed illusions, and the grief that has wrapped itself around her like a second skin, a horrible specter that forces her to wear a mask of optimism. But the deeper we look, the more disturbing the truth becomes. Because in a town like Woodbrook, familiarity doesn't always mean you truly know someone. In the small, deceptively charming town of Woodbrook, Melody Davis is a familiar face. Always behind the counter at the local butcher shop, always wearing a polite, practiced smile. But beneath her steady presence lies a woman quietly unraveling. The butcher shop wasn't just her business. It was her husband Frank's pride and joy. When he passed away, the store became both her sanctuary and her prison, a place where she could maintain the illusion of normalcy while burying the overwhelming grief that threatened to consume her. Melody has not processed Frank's death in a healthy way. Instead of moving forward, she clings desperately to the past, unable to let go. This manifests most notably in her private, unsettling secret, a life-size mannequin of Frank that she keeps in her home, a stand-in for the husband she lost. It's a fragile, desperate coping mechanism, one she hides fiercely from the outside world. To her, the mannequin isn't just an object. It's proof that she hasn't truly lost Frank, a way to pretend, if only for a little while, that he's still there beside her. Melody's deep grief has left her emotionally isolated, even in a small town where everyone knows everyone. She presents herself as put together, hardworking, and independent, but in reality, she's just as much a ghost as Frank is. Her inability to move on suggests she may be suffering from complicated grief, or even a form of delusional attachment, where she blurs the lines between reality and the life she so desperately wishes she still had. The tragedy of Melody is not that she's evil, nor is she a villain. She's simply lost, clinging to the past in a way that makes her an easy suspect when darkness falls over Woodbrook. If you want to truly understand the depth of Melody Davis's character, her grief, her secrecy, and the unsettling weight of her presence in Woodbrook, then Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees issue number 3 is essential reading. This comic is where Melody steps out of the background and into the spotlight, revealing just how little the town truly knows about her. From the outset, Melody is framed as a potential suspect in the town's string of gruesome murders. After all, she's the local butcher, someone with easy access to knives, bone saws, and plenty of places to get rid of a body. And the comic doesn't let that implication go unnoticed. Long, deliberately paced panels focus on her chopping meat, the cleaver coming down again and again with a sickening weight. Blood drips from the cutting table, and each slice is framed with meticulous detail, drawing out the tension. It's uncomfortable, visceral, and immediately places the reader on edge. But beyond these unsettling visuals, the narration further plays into this issue's core theme: how little we truly know about the people around us. In a town like Woodbrook, the easiest mistake to make is confusing familiarity with knowing. The more you learn about someone, the more you realize you hardly knew them at all. This haunting line forces us to reconsider what we think we know about Melody. If her butcher shop serves as a mask, what is she hiding behind it? As the issue progresses, we see that Melody isn't just dealing with the grief of losing her husband. She's drowning in it. Small hints are dropped along the way. Framed photos of her and Frank linger in the background, but Frank himself is nowhere to be found. As she walks home, there's a heaviness to her every step, a sorrow she carries in her posture. The comic's artwork masterfully conveys this sense of exhaustion, of quiet suffering she refuses to let others see. But the real shock comes from when Melody finally arrives at home. Sam, already suspicious of Melody, has broken into her house and is hiding in the closet watching her. That's when we get the reveal. Melody walks into her bedroom, where an arm hangs off the bed. With a tired sigh, she says, "Hey, sweetie, it's been a miserable day." It's a gut punch. We know her husband is dead, but here she is, talking to him like he never left. As the night unfolds, Sam takes a risk. She needs answers. So while Melody is called away at a supposed break-in at her shop, Sam searches the house. She finds a closet filled with large felt cat heads, another strange detail that only adds to this eerie atmosphere. But then she finds the real secret. The body in Melody's bed isn't a body at all. It's a mannequin, an artificial recreation of her late husband. Melody returns home before Sam can escape, catching her in the act. The confrontation is tense. Melody is furious, not because she's been caught doing something illegal, but because Sam has violated something deeply personal: her grief, her pain, and her carefully constructed illusion. "Planning on murdering someone tonight?" she asks Sam, throwing her own suspicion back at her. Sam explains why she is investigating Melody. Melody was the last person seen with Birdie. She's allergic to lavender, and all the signs seem to point to her as a suspect. She even admits she thought Melody had a dead body in her bed. And this is where Melody's truth comes out. She isn't a killer. She's just lonely. The butcher shop is a mask, a way to make people stop worrying about her. And the mannequin? It's the only thing keeping her from completely falling apart. Sometimes when I wake up, I almost forget he's not real. It's a tragic, unsettling confession, but it also serves as a turning point, both for Melody and for Sam's investigation. Because while Melody is innocent, Sam realizes someone else in town has the same lavender allergy, Nigel, and that revelation sets the stage for the deadly events to come. Issue number 3 is a masterclass in building tension, misdirection, and constructing effective character depth on an emotionally charged level. It builds Melody up as a possible suspect, only to peel back the layers and reveal the heartbreaking reality of her life. The horror in this issue isn't about murder. It's about grief, isolation, and the desperate lengths someone will go in order to keep the past alive while hiding their true self from the outside world. Denial is the first and perhaps the most obvious stage of grief that Melody exhibits. She refuses to fully accept that her husband is gone, not just emotionally, but physically, keeping a mannequin of him in her bed as if he never left. Her actions suggest that she has built a fragile reality around herself, where Frank's absence doesn't have to be fully acknowledged. We see this in her daily routine. She talks to the mannequin as if it's Frank, telling him about her day, maintaining the illusion that nothing has changed. When she walks home from work, the sorrow in her posture is clear, but she doesn't express it outwardly. She isolates herself, choosing to live in a world where Frank is still part of her life, rather than confront her grief directly. This aligns with what we know about grief psychology. Denial isn't just about refusing to believe someone has died. It's about avoiding the pain of reality. Melody has constructed a world where she doesn't have to say goodbye to Frank. The next stage of grief that Melody experiences is anger, but it doesn't manifest in outburst or violence. It's just there simmering beneath the surface. Her sharp defensive reaction to Sam discovering her secret is the clearest example. When she confronts Sam about breaking into her home, Melody is furious. Not because she's been caught doing something sinister, but because Sam has violated the fragile illusion she's built around herself. Her biting response, planning on murdering someone tonight, is dripping with sarcasm and frustration. It's not just about Sam's accusations, it's about being exposed. Anger and grief often comes from a sense of helplessness, of having something taken away that can never be replaced. Melody may not express open rage, but her defensiveness and her cold, controlled fury when her privacy is shattered show that she is still struggling with the death of her husband. And of course, the next stage is bargaining. One of the most striking moments in issue number 3 is Melody's confession about the butcher shop. The butcher shop has become a mask I wear, so people will stop worrying about me. This is classic bargaining, the stage where people try to regain control by making deals with themselves, with others, or with the universe as a whole. Melody throws herself into her work, believing that if she keeps up the appearance of normalcy, people will stop questioning how she's really feeling. This self-imposed routine is a form of psychological negotiation. If she works hard enough, if she keeps herself busy, then maybe she won't have to fully face her grief. Maybe she won't have to accept that Frank is actually gone. Depression is where Melody truly lingers throughout the 3rd issue of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Her posture, her tired expressions, the slow, methodical way she moves through town. All of it conveys someone who is weighed down by sadness. Her isolation is also another major factor. She doesn't confide in anyone. She doesn't seek help. Instead, she retreats into her world of routine and repetition, cutting meat at the shop, walking home in silence, carrying out mundane tasks like cooking and cleaning, all while never allowing herself to truly process her emotions. And then there's the most heartbreaking line of the issue. Sometimes, when I wake up, I almost forget he's not real. This single sentence captures the depth of her sorrow. She knows deep down that Frank is gone. But every morning, there's a fleeting moment where she can pretend otherwise. The mannequin is not just an object. It's a symbol of her unwillingness to move forward, of the emotional limbo she's trapped in, and how she is simply a shadow of her former self. And then finally we have the stage of acceptance. And this is the one stage Melody never reaches. There's no moment where she lets go, no scene where she acknowledges that she must move forward. If anything, her confrontation with Sam reinforces her need to cling to the life she's built around Frank's absence. Unlike some characters in stories of grief, Melody isn't on a journey toward healing. She's stuck, unable or unwilling to break free from the past. And that's what makes her character so compelling and so tragic. She isn't evil, she isn't a murderer, but she is haunted, trapped in a cycle of grief that she has no intention of escaping. The horror of Melody's story doesn't come from blood or violence. It comes from her inability to let go of the past. The imagery of her cutting meat, the eerie stillness of her home, the mannequin lying in her bed beside her. These are all symbols of a person whose grief has taken over their entire life. And the scariest part, if Melody can be hiding something this tragic in plain sight, what might everyone else in Woodbrook be hiding? Melody Davis is a tragic figure, someone who's been completely consumed by grief, yet refuses to let the world see just how much she's struggling. Her story is one of loss, loneliness, and the desperate lengths people will go in order to hold on to the past. But in a town like Woodbrook, where secrets run deep and nothing is ever quite what it seems, you have to wonder, what else might be hiding behind the closed doors in Woodbrook? What do you think of Melody's story? Do you sympathize or even empathize with her? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Comic Drops, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a deep dive like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.